Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I am Lucas Parker here for the Press Corps, bringing you live updates as to how the war is developing. We are currently on day 246, of this Foxhole War, and as the front line develops, Colonial's moving north continually from the starting conditions, making progress Marban Hollow, Linn of Mercy, breaking into Stone Cradle even. We have reporters spread across the region that we will get to momentarily. But before we do, a quick recap and a catch-up here as to what all has been going on since we've last reported. Starting from the left, Colonials and Wardens scrapping pretty heavily in Orebreaker Isles. Looks like over right now around Base Akiri. In fact, just now as I'm looking at this, Base Akiri is just flipped white. So combat is continuing to move up north more towards the Ides. Front line's a little disjointed in Stone Cradle, as Colonial's pushing out from Fading Lights towards the Cord. Long Fast is white as well. No intel as to what's going on there at the moment, but it's something you definitely want to keep an eye on. In Linn of Mercy, there's another white relic base at Lathair, as Wardens and Colonials continue scrapping over that area. There's very little intel here as well, so we're working with what we have, but we do know that at the very least that relic base is down, and that the fighting is continuing there. Maybe not as hot as some of the other areas, but there is still fighting. In between Calatan's Passage and Deadlands, the fighting is now moving back and forth over the border as each side tries to make a break-in, and it's important to note here, I have looked at our weather information that we had a little earlier. Don't know exactly what the weather ratings are. If you're interested in the warnings, there's a separate channel for that, but there is a fairly intense snowstorm, seems to be centered roughly around the southern side of Callahan's Passage, at least from what I'm aware of. Definitely extends out into Marban, some into Drowned Vale, I assume roughly equally in the other directions. It's almost region-wide here. As we continue moving to the west, I believe west, to the right side of the map, in Marban Hollow, Colonials and Wardens fighting fiercely just north of Osterwall. Seen a lot of armor in this combat. It's mostly open field with not a lot of no man's land involved here. Lots of open room for tanks and infantry to move around, and of course the snowstorm is kind of stagnating that combat a little bit. Fighting is just a little bit of light skirmishing, it looks like, in Inlet Shore, as Colonials and Wardens scrap over the bridge just south of Vulpine Watch. And moving even further to the west, we've got Tempest Island, where another white relic base, Surge Gate, is currently down, and Wardens and Colonials are currently fighting over the bridges just outside of the Iris. So we back up here a little bit. We do have several reporters out in the field. I think we're going to take our first look here in the Marban Hollow region. We have our Colonial reporter with us, Poe, here, and he is stationed in Osterwall, I believe. Is that right, Poe? Are you coming through clear?
Yes, I'm at Osterwall at the northeastern part of the region. It is a snowy day here in Marban's Hollow. I'm heading off to the front.
Do you think you could patch us in with a little bit of audio from the front line? The fighting audio?
I will. So right now, I'm walking on over to the front, so you can't hear some shooting, but you should be able to hear some in about 20 seconds, give or take.
Alright, as he moves to the front, just take a second to back up here. I know I mentioned we had reporters all across the field.
Oh,
we should have...
Oh dear, I got a shot. Oh dear.
Oh, hope you're staying safe.
I'm being treated. It's okay.
We have reporters on both sides of the conflict in Marban Hollow. I think this is where we're going to focus for the most tonight, at least for the next hour or so. We do have a reporter in Tempest Island as well, and another reporter in Deadlands monitoring that fight. Not sure how the Deadlands fight is panning out at the moment. We'll get in contact with him later for that.
Lucas, then there is small arms fire happening at the front at Osterwall. I am in a trench right now with a couple of wardens by the names of Staff Sergeant Halfnut and Officer Cadet Cagnazo, and Officer Cadet Astura, who has just healed me.
Oh, let's see. What are you seeing out here in this front line?
Let me hop in the back real quick. to be treated. But right now, it is a trench fighting. I see some wardens in the distance trying to build some fortifications, but the Colonials are shooting them down before they can finish building. I see two warden vehicles in the distance. I think that's a tank and a half-track. But right now, it is shooting between the trenches. There's gas being used right now. I am bleeding. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yes, we have been seeing quite a lot of armor being sent to this area. I was there just a moment ago before I went a little bit further back to get this broadcast set up.
The vehicles are not currently shooting. That was an RPG. Yes, they are not going front because there are some Colonials with anti-tank weapons right now, but I can see the lights of their headlights.
So it seems like they're maybe a good ways off. You think the snowstorm is maybe slowing their advance or making them a little more cautious than usual?
It seems like it, but I think it's a grenade! Oh my goodness! I'm alive. But I am going to try and hop out of this trench and get some better footage real quick. Lord help me. Don't we have one of our Warden reporters on the scene?
Yes, I was going to call him in here in a moment. Ooh, it sounded like something just got destroyed there.
Now it's back to 2, 1 got destroyed. Oh, I'm wounded, oh dear. Excuse me, medic, please! A warden is currently in the trench with me right now. He is shooting at any Colonials trying to save me. More updates on you in a bit.
Alright, well, while we wait to see how... Ooh, some intense fighting that's going on there.
Thank you.
But as we take a second to step back, as he gets himself situated, we'll try and drag in here our other reporter. We'll see if we can get him patched in through. He is on the Warden side of the conflict here in Marban Hollow, north of Oswald.
I'm being carried to the back right now. I'll heal up. Just moving over to a different reporter for now.
Alright, we'll see if we can drag him in. Well, seems we might be having a few technical difficulties here as far as patching in our reporter Alaric Webb on the Warden side of this conflict here. We'll see if we can sort that out real quick. But in the meantime, as I'm sure you've heard, there's a fair amount of armor fighting going on to the north of Osterwall. This is a trend that we've seen across pretty much the entirety of the region. And let's see here. Yeah, it's because we're looking at the tech as we've been seeing this go through. I think both sides have reached the point where they've started unlocking prototype light tanks, so we've started to see those being fielded. But it's a bit of an intermix right now between half-tracks and light tanks. Of course, prototype light tanks, for those of you who may not be aware, not exactly as durable as maybe a full-tech light tank, but they still do have that powerful 40mm cannon, and in some ways can still outclass those half-tracks. Let's see here. Alaric, are you there? Can you hear me? Can we get you patched in?
That's a firm, I hear you.
Stream here. Alright, do you think you could give us some audio from the front line where you are?
Yes, I am currently based in Marban. The fighting here is fierce, and a lot of artillery shots have been lying around. For now, it's been a lull. A person with a... oh my god, I'm watching a medic. Sorry. It's really gruesome here. A lot of bodies lay in the streets. It's quite unsettling.
I know you've been there for the past hour or so, and conflict has obviously been quite heated, and I assume you have been staying safe. But
I've been trying to, at least.
Could you give us your thoughts on maybe you get an interview, or if you had an interview earlier, as to how maybe the Wardens, and even the Warden armor, because we know Wardens typically fare a little better in snowstorms, as to how they've been managing with this weather?
They've been managing by increasing their gasoline production, trying to set fires just to warm up their vehicles. All of the vehicles around me are still frozen. They're warming them currently. It's honestly quite astonishing how cold it gets here sometimes.
It's quite one bitter snowstorm. I can definitely attest to that, having been out there just a moment ago. We've also got Poe back in contact with us now. Managed to reconnect that radio.
I'm just in the town base right now. So no updates from me so far, but you know.
All right.
It'll take me about 30 seconds to get back into the front.
All right then. Alaric, can you tell us maybe what you see? Maybe what regiments are active here, if there are any, or about how many Wardens, Colonials you think might be on either side of this fight?
Currently there's just a mixture, like a hodgepodge of a group here. I see 2 Roman members. I see 27ths here. There's a medic regiment here as well. If I were to have to estimate how many people are here, I would say 50-50 on both sides, honestly. The Colonials are pushing hard, so are the Wardens. I did an interview with one of them, and I believe it was a Roman that said, there's so many of them, it feels like waves upon waves of green.
That is certainly quite the saying right there. That's... Whew.
So right now,
it goes to attest just how...
machine guns firing over me. There are currently 2 Colonial machine guns firing into the front from, let's say, a little protege, a little hill up on the Colonial side. There you can see the Wardens firing back with artillery. I think there was some mortars actually, but right now the front is it's a bit stable, but Colonials I think have the upper hand a bit. What does it look like to you over there? Like Alaric, what does it seem to you over there? Is it do you think the Wardens are on the upper hand, or?
I apologize for the lateness of my speech right there. I am currently pushing up with an infantry force just to get a better view of the info. It may just take me a moment, though.
That does make sense. I would be hopping into the trenches right now, but there's gas right there. I don't have a gas mask on.
So, Poe, I don't know if you have binoculars, or whether or not you can actually see. We did get confirmed reports of a fairly large amount of Warden armor. I don't know if there is any Colonial armor in play. Have you seen any?
I haven't seen any. I don't have binoculars.
I'm with them right now,
able to get binoculars here.
I apologize to interrupt with you.
Right.
Alright, Poe, we'll see if we can get an intern sent your way with a pair of binoculars for you.
But right now, Wardens are pushing up with 2 tanks and 2 half-tracks.
I'm right next to them. Yes, they're here.
From 2 half-tracks and 2 tanks?
Tell them to not shoot the guy in the press uniform, please. Thank you.
Did I hear that right? That's 2 tanks and 2 half-tracks?
That's a firm. I'm standing right next to them as well.
2 Warden half-tracks.
Do we know what's mounted on those half-tracks?
Machine guns.
I think machine guns.
Light machine guns.
Alright, Poe, we've sent an intern up for you with a pair of binoculars. You should be seeing him now.
Lucas, if you can talk in here as well, that would be good. Oh dear, gas! I should get a gas mask.
Here, that fighting is quite heated. It sounds like the tanks might be getting engaged.
They are, and I hear artillery falling next to me.
Right now I have a gas mask, but no filter.
I believe the intern also brought you one of those. Though.
Well, thank you, then. Oh. No, this is no filter. God damn it, I'm going back to the relic base.
We do have confirmed reports of multiple Warden armored units. Sounds like 2 prototype light tanks and 2 half-tracks, both of which are armed with rat catchers. As far as Colonials are concerned, no armor on the field as of yet, at least that we are aware of in Marban Hollow.
The fighting here is brutal. Artillery's falling all around me currently.
Check. It is day 246, 10 hours, here at the Osterwall, Marban Hollow.
It does sound like artillery might be firing there.
Yes, there's Warden artillery. There's I think 2 Colonial artillery here as well. They're just doing some counter battery action. There's also some fighting over at Deadlands, which one of our other reporters can report on. Will I tell him to come here?
I actually think we'll keep you two stationed there for the time being. We're coming up on the 15-minute mark here. Keep you guys.
That's quite all right.
Keep an eye on that combat there.
Thank you,
But in
Hendrix.
the meantime, we will actually transition over to Deadlands to see how that front is developing. So let's go ahead and have these guys disconnected here. In the meantime, we'll take a small look back at everything that's going on here. And we'll see if I have Blake. Blake, can you hear me? Am I coming through? We have with us fresh press reporter here, Blake. Let's see if we can patch in some audio from where he is.
Sorry, are you able to hear me right now?
Yep, you're coming through loud and clear.
Lovely. I'm here at the Callahan Passage and Deadlands border. Right now, there is very heavy fighting going on between both Warden and Colonial forces. Right now, I am watching as dead are piling up on both sides as the unknown cost of this battle continues to mount. Over trenches that are continuously being fought over, both garrison defenses and bunker defenses both sprung up on either side, or making it hard for either force to make an advancement. A little earlier, I saw an experimental Colonial H5 hatchet on the field get wiped out by a skirmishing attack. It is, I can confirm it is dead, but as of that is the only armor I've seen down here. A lot of the front line has in fact stagnated, and as per usual, it's just mayhem and death.
So I know you said that you had seen a Colonial hatchet, a prototype hatchet, and that it got destroyed. Did you see what it got destroyed by?
Affirmative. Here I can certainly guarantee that a mixture of both bone saws and cutlers from multiple different angles, managing to get around the hatchet as it came off the road, tracking it and eventually disabling it to such a degree where it was inoperable.
So it does seem that it got flanked. And of course, it being a snowstorm in that area, it's important to note that the vehicles do struggle to move through heavy snow if the snowstorm gets bad enough. So that probably contributed to it a fair amount as well.
Yes,
But it sounded like you had said the fighting right now is north of Callahan's Gate, correct? As Wardens are trying to make a break-in into the region?
Yes, that is very much correct, and as you'd mentioned, it is most certainly snowing here. It's not the worst it could be. I've been through much worse storms, but this year is pretty bad. Myself, I'm starting to feel the shivers, as a lot of the Warden forces here are not supplied with proper winter gear. I myself am not able to scrounge enough layers in order to be able to stay warm. But I could tell you that the forces here are certainly meeting tough colonial resistance from the bunker fortification they have set up on the outskirts of Callahan's Gate.
What kind of fortifications are we looking at for the Colonials for defending Callahan's Gate?
It looks to be well put together, boarded up properly, proper wooden planks and nails. Certainly a lot of machine gun pillboxes set around the outside as sort of an outer layer, and then more on the inside, more sturdy-looking bunker defenses.
I see. And is there any Warden armor that you've seen coming up? Because it sounds so far that the Wardens might be a bit undersupplied at the moment. This is a fresh break-in. They're not really fortified as well as they could be yet.
The only tracked vehicle we've got here, I've got to admit, is just the CV. I see no Warden armor here in the general area. I heard rumors that there was a Warden force that went over to Spine, but I haven't seen anything about that as of late.
Well, we are actually, now that you mention it, getting reports of Spine being knocked. It is white right now. So it seems that Warden force may have actually been successful in whatever they had moved over there to do. But in the meantime, yeah, it does seem that north of Callahan's Gate, there are Wardens stagnating on some bunker defenses. But again, break-ins are usually very rapidly changing. All it takes is one organized group or some good logistics to come through to really change the way that front line is moving. And we'll keep an eye on this one and move over here to another one of our Warden reporters in the field. We'll see if we can patch through to him as well.
Just to butt in, Lucas, I'm currently being carried by one Lieutenant Pokapoo from the front. It doesn't look good here, it doesn't look good. But right now we are looking for a medic. They're currently getting one from the bunker base over at... Oh, I'm alive! I'm alive! Thank the Amaro. Oh my goodness.
It's good to know you're staying safe out there.
Wonderful. Do any of you have a mic? Do you want a little interview up?
Let's see if we can swap through over to Poe.
Hello.
And get his audio real quick.
Oh yes, let me get my microphone up. Yes, but now I should have my audio up. Right now I am with a brigadier general in the front. Sir,
for those of you who may...
Do you mind if I ask you some questions for a bit?
I have an interview from the front line.
Alright. So, how long have you been in this front personally? That's alright.
And again, I'm the Cinnamon. And for those of you who may just be joining us, Poe with us here is currently getting a live interview from the front line in Osterwall in Maiden's Vale.
Yeah, so right now I am with some guys from the 141 CR Regiment. I'm with a Brigadier General by the name of Tenoxis. So, Tenoxis, how long have you been in this front, and how long has the fighting here been going on, if you know? Oh dear. Oh my goodness.
Don't go AWOL. This is the weekend pass. Party jazz for the soldier.
Hello, can you hear me? Am I patched through?
Just sit on the side a little bit here.
But right now I saw there were two Warden tanks and two Warden half-tracks in the front. Is there any response from the Colonials in terms of armor?
Looks...
Yes. Yeah, I did see 3 Warden half-tracks once and one got destroyed.
Alright. Well,
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh dear.
So, for those of you who are just joining us, that was an interview
Colonial action seems over here.
Remind me again, Poe? That was an interview from...
Major Tenaxis.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Major Tenaxis in Maiden's Vale, north of Osterwall, Marban Hollow.
Yes.
My bad. Marban Hollow, not Maiden's Vale. But we managed to get some technical difficulties sorted out. We'll now go over to another one of our Warden reporters who's currently in the region of Tempest Island. See if we can get him patched through here, so you can see what's going on in this section of the region.
Deadlands, so back to you,
Hello, can
Lucas.
you hear me?
Yep, you're coming in perfectly loud and clear, Robert.
Rightio, boy do I have a front for you lot. Tempest Island has seen a lot of armoured action as of late. Currently the main fighting is between the Rush and the Iris. There has been much contention as the no man's land between the two. The bridge at the Iris leading towards the Rush is down, but it is worth noting that the river is so shallow that vehicles can cross with no issues. So there has been quite a lot of Colonial armor pushing to the north and trying to intercept Warden armor. There's been a lot of armored cars and tankettes in the past day of action that I've been here, but as of late, there is currently a prototype DeWitt Mark III crewed by the 27th, trying to engage... Oh, I just have reports. Okay. The 27th DeWitt Mark III has just destroyed the H5 hatchet that the Colonials have been using.
Now hold on a moment, Robot. You're a little hard to hear over the background audio around you. We might see if we can get your radio set tuned here a little bit real quick, because it's picking up a little bit too much of the background noise. But if I heard that right, it did sound like the Colonials, the Wardens, one of them had just lost a light tank, is that correct?
Yes, the DeWitt Mark III, crewed by the 27th, just gave the finishing blow to a Colonial H5 hatchet light tank. It was positioned on the southern side of the river, but the Warden DeWitt was able to fire over the river and destroy them next to the water mill, just to the west of the bridge.
Oh ho ho! A little bit of a flanking maneuver, it sounds like. So, taking a step back here, I know you had mentioned that there was a fair amount of armor combat taking place over this bridge. Could you give us a rundown of what you've seen so far as to maybe what each side has been bringing to the bridge, or how that conflict has been going for them?
Well, mostly we've seen fairly light armor, Lucas. We've had armored cars and tankettes from both sides, including one captured tankette used by the Warden. We've had a Colonial tankette, Warden tankette, and the Colonial and Warden armored cars respectively. They've been skirmishing over the no man's land, going back and forth. Last night, the Colonials managed to push fairly far north towards the Rush, and even managed to destroy the encampment with rocket artillery. However, the fighting is now back around the bridgehead itself. There has been use of artillery and rocket artillery recently. However, they both seem to have waned in the recent hours in favor of pure...
Any idea who was firing what artillery?
Oh, the Wardens and Colonials both had conventional artillery, and the Colonials were using their truck to fire rocket artillery at Warden positions. There have been no sightings of Warden rocket artillery in use.
Now, if what I'm remembering from that region is correct, although this is a river crossing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is it not a shallow river crossing that you could maybe walk through or drive a tank through?
Yes, that is precisely what's been happening. That is what is allowed, despite the bridge being down, that's what's allowed for the vast amount of armoured combat. The Colonials have been able to push through the river due to its shallow nature, and engage Warden armour with impunity. So far, it seems that we have two Colonial mortar half-tracks holding position and firing on the southern end of the bridge. I have lost sight of the DeWitt Mark III. It seems that most of the armor
disengaged, I suppose.
Yeah, most of the armor has either disengaged or been destroyed outright. There have been losses on both sides up until I've started reporting. A machine gun half-track has just rolled up next to the Colonial mortar half-tracks and is holding on the bridge itself.
So we've only got a little bit longer before we're going to go to another break here, but there are a couple questions that I do want to ask you here before we do. First off, of course, give us a general idea of what the infantry composition is like at this front line? Is it maybe more Warden bias, more Colonial bias as far as numbers go? Are there any major groups that you can see partaking in the combat here, or is it mostly just a hodgepodge of random infantry?
Alright, so, as I mentioned before, the DeWitt Mark III was crewed by the 27th, and there seemed to be some other 27th infantry acting in a support role. There are 1 or 2 members of the 28th PA, but aside from that, it seems to be a fairly eclectic hodgepodge of infantry. The Wardens, from my point of view, of course, being on the Warden front, it looks like there are more Warden soldiers than Colonials, but the Colonials have been managing to hold the river, so it's hard to say precisely.
And the last thing I wanted to ask real quick as well, you had mentioned that artillery was...
one of the mortar half-tracks has just been disabled, and so it's currently watching it now to see if there's any further development. They are trying to repair it. The other mortar half-track is just... They are hiding behind a building, so they are safe from any... Oh! The mortar half-track has just been destroyed by a Warden firing an ignifice. The other half-tracks are beginning to pull back? No, they are repositioning to engage Warden infantry that has made it to the southern end of the bridge. Okay, so it seems that the Colonial half-tracks are very nervous and hesitant to engage. There is a Colonial field anti-tank gun in play, just south of the bridge by about 30 or so meters. While there is no Warden armor pushing, it's definitely a worthwhile deterrent to have.
Some rapidly developing vehicle combat going on here as well. Interesting to see infantry AT doing its job. But I did want to ask, you had mentioned that artillery was firing earlier, and I do know that this has been a region that's been in conflict for a fair amount of time.
Well, regarding artillery, I've got a live update for you, Lucas. There is currently Warden artillery firing on the Colonial Town Hall at the Iris. It is very heavily damaged, and given that the infantry combat taking place on the river is only 40 or so meters away, it's hard to say whether or not it'll be taken, but it's a very likely possibility. I will let you know if I've been patched out, I will let you know when the Iris falls, if it does.
Alright, well before we go anywhere, because this is actually shaping up to be a much more rapidly changing front line than I had thought it would be, can you give us an idea, number one, what is the no man's land situation like here? Because this has been an area that's been in conflict for a fair amount of time, and I assume that artillery has been exchanged from both sides back and forth for a fair amount of time here. So can you kind of paint us a picture as to how torn up the terrain is?
Oh, the terrain is very heavily torn up. There's nary a part of the landscape that has been untouched by artillery. The entire ground has been turned to mud, and it's littered with crater shells and the half-repaired trench systems that either side have constructed. Many of these trenches are destroyed and filled in with dirt. There are only wooden trenches as the highest level of defense in play, aside from various pillboxes. There aren't any bunkers I am aware of. It seems to be a fairly lightly defended front, aside from, of course, the infantry and armor present. But in terms of static defenses, there doesn't seem to be much on either side. The trenches, of course, are being built and dug out as infantry advance. The northern side of the bridge, of course, has much more room for this sort of thing. As I'm watching a Lance Corporal did his own foxhole right now to help give a picture of just how harsh the terrain has become.
Now, you did say artillery was firing on that town hall. Can you get close enough to, and don't put yourself in danger, but can you get close enough to get an idea of...
The town hall has fallen, and there is a current...
I'm getting that report now as well. Yep, the town hall has just flipped white.
Yes, it appears that Colonial infantry are still holding the southern end of the bridge. They're going to have to be dislodged if there is to be any progress in capturing the Iris. But so far it seems that Warden
knocking
morale
the town hall is a fair amount of progress, and so I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
No,
yeah, I would assume Warden morale is probably very high at this moment. But
yes,
we're going to take a quick break to music real quick, sort out maybe one or two technical issues. We'll be back in about 10-ish minutes. Those of you who are just joining us, stay tuned. After this music break, we'll bring you more reporting live from the front. This is Lucas Parker, Alaric Webb, Blake Darrage, Robert Spark, and Poe for the PressCorps.
I am live at the front line in Tempest Island, in between the Iris and the Rush. I am here with Tony Lasagna, Lieutenant Colonel of the Warden Forces, currently fighting over the area. There is currently heavy infantry pushing to the south. The Colonial town hall of the Iris was recently destroyed by artillery, and now there is a fervent Warden push to take the town hall. Radio, Tony, can you hear us? Radio, Tony, can you describe what the fighting's been like as of late? Alright, yes. Currently it is 17:23 hours, so of course nighttime fighting has made pushing harder. But I have been watching the progress of the front over the last few days. It seems that you've been able to push quite far from the intersection just to the north of us, all the way down to the southern end of this bridge. So what can you say in terms of the progress? Like, how hard has it been dealing with the vast colonial armament? Because there has been artillery, rocket artillery, armor, all sorts of hazards thrown your way.
Finish off your drink before the war finishes you off. This is the Weekend Pass. Party jazz for the soldier on leave. All weekend night. Here on PressCorps Radio.
Radio. I've just got word that you're actually not coming through, so I'm just going to repeat what you've been saying. Alright, Tony Lasagna says that there has been slow and steady progress as they have pushed forward. There's been careful care not to make sure that they push too far, that their defensive line cannot hold what they have captured. We do have more questions for you, Tony. Do you have any words for the Wardens and Colonials listening in right now?
Hey, listen, fellas. In this world, there's two types of fellas.
In this world, there's two types of friends.
A smart fella, or you can be a
smart fella, or a fart smeller.
You don't want to be a fart smeller, because fart smellers, they sleep.
You don't want to be a fart smeller, because fart smellers.
Amen. Amen, yeah. Shout it
loud. Amen.
So yeah, be a smart fellow.
Be a smart fella.
You know, this war, it might be stressful.
This war might be stressful.
Eat a meatball sub with extra
Get a meatball sub with extra mozzarella, some provolone on that. Parmigiano Reggianos. Forget about it.
Yeah, just like my grandma makes it for me.
Radio. We are currently under a rocket barrage just to the north of our position on the bridge. We have been barraged by rocket artillery. So far, no casualties as far as I can see, but the barrage impact is outside of my vision due to the nighttime. There have been some trenches set on fire, but from the looks of it, it doesn't seem to have disrupted Warden efforts by that much. Radio, thank you, Mr. Lasagna. I will, oh, hold on, before I go...
no problem, Rob.
Warden forces have just rebuilt the bridge leading to the Iris, and now Warden infantry is pushing heavily.
Go.
I will accompany the push and report live.
I say hi to my mom, but it's good enough. Listen, everybody, if you shoot a Colonial, I'll give you a free cannoli and buy
pushing very hard towards the town hall. The town hall is still down. It's only a distance of about 50 meters, and in between our Warden infantry and the town hall is a Colonial machine gun half-track. The Colonial infantry seems to be very light and dispersed, holding back near the town hall to disrupt any offensive measures. But with the bridge rebuilt and no other signs of Colonial defenses, it seems like the Wardens might just be able to pull this off and take the town hall. The half-track is falling back to next to the town hall. there have been mortar flares fired at the advancing Warden infantry. Alright, it appears that Warden infantry has been able to take a foothold in the trenches just 40 meters away from the town hall. Artillery is firing on the town hall despite it being down. It's unclear whether this is Warden artillery suppressing it or Colonial artillery trying to disrupt it from being tapped. We have another rocket artillery strike. Seems to have only been a handful of rockets, but it seems to have landed to the north, which is Wardens are currently trying to build forward defenses as they push to hold the ground. It's currently a large number of Warden infantry that have managed to push up the bridge. It seems that general spirit is that now that the bridge is up, the fighting is actually possibly going to result in a Warden victory. Ready? Okay. Who is this with me? Hello?
This is Pope. Hello. Yes, just a little aside to tell you that Blake will be reporting in about 2 minutes, thank you.
Alright, copy that.
How's
infantry is pushing up. Well, the Wardens are pushing, and the Colonials are being tooth and nail to defend the town hall and prevent a construction vehicle from coming up and capturing it. It seems that under the cover of nighttime, progress is somewhat hard to make.
Forget about it.
Are you able to hear
yes, I'm able to hear
sounds of the war?
Yes, I can. The camera you have right now is a bit janky. It's at 15.5 frames per second, but it's alright, I can hear the audio.
Alright, copy that. I'm going to see if I can't get Tony back for some more words. But in the meantime, as fighting is still continuing fairly harshly, there is, of course, lots of artillery firing. Infantry has pushed up really far. This is the make or break moment of this battle. I'm saying it now. Either the Warden infantry will either capture the town hall soon or be repulsed. It's honestly up to anyone's desk to decide what the outcome will be, but personally with the it seems that the Wardens they have quite a lot of momentum in how far they've managed to push up. I imagine that with further pushes, they will be able to continue.
Yeah, I think we had a tank earlier.
Wonderful. Well, we
did. I don't know what happened to it.
We'll go now to
not the half track I had, but the other tank.
With Warden reporter Blake Darrage. I will put him up. I'll patch him up here now. Give me a moment. Here to A. So right now we are with Warden correspondent Blake. Blake, are you up? I see your microphone up.
Yes, sorry. 1 second.
That's quite alright.
There's been a lot of changes. Are you able to hear everything alright here?
Yep. I am looking at your camera now.
Alright, in mostly good news, there's been a very much recent delivery in uniforms, so I'm no longer freezing, thankfully enough, neither of the front line. But it does appear that due to Warden sapping and sort of loss of ground from the Colonial forces, that both the Warden forces have moved up into and have captured the Colonial, or at least the outskirts of the Colonial defenses, having destroyed a few bunkers as well as a few trenches on their advance. Additionally, there's a few armored. Oh, there looks to be a Colonial armored personnel carrier. Yes, must be very recent to the front line. I haven't seen it at all.
I can see it's being gassed right now.
Yes.
You think it's falling back now?
Quite possibly. Or it is. I quite frankly don't know what it's doing at the moment.
Do you have visual confirmation of the Warden armor that was there, or have they gone away now?
There was a Warden King Spire. Oh, it appears that there's now a prototype Colonial Hatchet H5 moving up towards the front line, using its 40 mil cannon on everything it sees.
Move up a bit because I think it's firing at you. Your position.
You want me to move up towards the hatchet, sir?
No, I wanted you to move back. It was shooting at your direction. Oh no, it's fallen back behind the gate now. Okay. It's
it appears it's being ambushed by infantry anti-tank.
Oh, it stopped moving.
I'm sure as you can hear, as well as the people in the radio can hear, but it is certainly very chaotic here. I can certainly say on this side. Lots of talking, lots of communication, lots of energy breaking down as trenches are swapping back and forth at a very rapid pace.
Alright, see that. Can you tell me what kind of outfits are operating now in the front?
What sort of outfits? Quite frankly, it's a whole mix of regiments and troops. There's certainly armored forces on both sides, so the Colonials seem to have more stationed here than the Warden forces do. But generally speaking, I think you'll find that other than a few soldiers bearing the same patches on their shoulders, you won't find much unity here. It's a lot of disorganization and a lot of just chaos that is frontline combat.
I can see there's a guy over there. Don't worry, I don't need someone to save him. Oh, he's getting shot at. Never mind.
Looks like someone tried to, but due to colonial intervention, that was not possible.
Yeah. What does it seem like to you? Does it seem like there's more Wardens or Colonial infantry there?
I would say, I can't say much about the Colonial infantry, but I've certainly seen large waves and large swarms attempt to take the trenches, which I am in right now, and have been holding the trenches I am in right now. The current status that the front line is in is only for a moment in these very late hours of the day. Right now, it's only I suppose it's early hours.
What time is it? What time is it?
It's around 02:30 hours here in Deadlands.
It's pitch darkness.
Yes, of course the snowstorm doesn't really change much. When you can't see too far in front of you, the night and the day sort of blend together.
Yeah, the storm doesn't really help with visibility, does it?
Certainly not, sir, certainly not. Other than that...
watching on your camera, yeah, the fighting is currently in the trenches. Colonial is kind of... I think they're trying to move up, but the Wardens are too hard. They're too hard pressed to move up, is what I'm saying.
Yes, certainly.
Now, can you talk to one of the Wardens there on the front?
Sure. Hold on a second.
That's quite alright.
Yeah, I think we do, guys. Yeah.
Everyone here looks to be in a rush, and each has their duty to do in this chaos that are these trenches here that I found myself in. If you'll wait with me for a few moments.
That's quite alright. Can we move back to Robert's Park? Robert's Park, are you still there in the Deadlands?
Yes. Sorry,
hello?
I'm still. There seems to be. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Let me set
Right.
the stream to your camera.
Yes, from my
Watch
camera.
Stream. Right.
Right. Is that coming through?
I think so. Yes, I think it is a flare lit night. This is what I'm seeing. Oh, is that a Colonial tank staring straight at you? You might want to move on
around.
there.
It seems that the tables have turned for the Warden
This is probably
forces.
good. Don't get too close to the
Around
left, please.
0200 hours, the Colonials started pushing the Wardens past the bridge, and we are now fighting
There's a half track up there.
There has been a Colonial infantry support gun tankette close top,
I would
and
do
a machine gun half-track, managing to push fairly unopposed. Warden infantry, of course, is firing anti-armor weaponry. As you can see, there is currently anti-tank rifles firing at the infantry support gun tankette. They are now hovering around the northern
Three collies in the
end of the
Octagon.
bridge.
Gas!
Oh,
I'm out
it
of
appears
gas!
I've been wounded. I need to fall back for some medical attention.
You're putting a little bit of blood over there.
Yes, I am in dire need of some medical assistance. Seems to be somewhat hard to come by.
How you doing?
No bandages there.
What's the guy gotta do over here for a fucking medic?
Yeah, it seems to be the general consensus that medical attention is somewhat spare. I am in dire need of...
Oh dear.
Oh,
Robert? Are you
I've
there,
been
Robert?
down. I'm in help, I'm in need. What's this?
Oh my goodness. Right now, if we can, we'll hop on over back to Blake, over in Oster Wall, Marban Hollow, while we try and sort out the situation with Robert. Blake, are you there? Blake, hello?
Sorry, no, I'm having some technical difficulties at the moment. My camera's not coming up. If you'll give me a little bit more. I do have an interview with an ops cadet at the front line. Sadly, you're having some just issues with it right now. If you'll give me a moment.
That's quite alright. It is the front. Sharpnel can get into the cameras. Robert, is that you? Are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Just patching my camera through right now.
Wonderful.
Let's go.
Radio. I am currently making my way to...
No way!
Yep, I have just caught a ride.
Padre, no way.
To the front. Hello, boys. You're live on air. Do you have anything to say?
I'm scared.
Wonderful.
I want to go home and see my wife.
Can you read
Bus
off the
driver,
names
I've been told to tell you not to go too far ahead.
Alright, it
Sounds
seems
good to
be
me.
a rather random eclectic
Sounds like a
collection.
good place to
There are
maybe
some
stop
members
soon.
From the 27th.
Yeah. Get out.
I feel like I need to get
There
it.
has been a drop in morale.
I'm turning around.
And of course, many wardens, as you just heard, are hoping to return
I
home
must recover
safely
my
to their
fallen
loved
shit.
ones, as opposed to
Literally
many
just
my
finesse
clothes.
the entire kit. Fuck yeah, baby.
An important development, the Colonials have rebuilt the town hall at the Iris.
Get
Probably
to the
a
MPLA.
luxury they were
I have
afforded by their
recovered
recent
my
push
fallen shit.
northwards. So far, of course, Warden morale has suffered as a result. There is currently an effort, of course, to hold the Colonials at bay and prevent any further gains, but the loss of Warden gains, of course, has taken a toll. I am currently trying to find my way towards the action.
Okay, that's quite alright, but right now we have another reporter up in the Oster Wall front in Marban Hollow. Alaric Webb, can you turn on your microphone? Are you with us? Alaric, your microphone
Yes,
is
I'm
on.
here. Sorry
Your
about
camera's
that.
on. Hello. No problem.
Yes, I'm currently on the front line right now. Things have definitely cooled down since the start. However, there is a lot of gas.
Oh dear, there's gas in your position. You might want to move.
Yep,
Oh, you have a gas mask on. That's good.
Yep.
How's it looking now there?
Quite hectic. It's turned back into infantry fighting infantry. We do still have one half-track left. However, since we've last talked, we've lost 2 half-tracks and a single tank.
On the Warden side?
Yes.
Okay, for confirmation. Okay. In that case, what does it look like? Are Colonials moving up? Is it a back and forth?
Colonials are moving back up. However, it is turning into a back and forth move. Wardens are currently building up pillboxes as well as more trenches.
That's true. The interview we had before with the General, they have been here for, he says 2 weeks, so that would make for about, times 24, that would make about more than 200 days, they think.
Yes.
It has been a while since this front has been kind of a, I wouldn't say a stalemate, but it's been a bloody back.
Guys, grab 2 stickers, get inside my truck.
A lot of people are talking. Could you repeat that for me?
No, I was just saying how
Guys,
much
grab 2 stickers, get inside my truck.
this
Gonna
front
kill
is
the air.
because I'm looking right now at the statistics coming from Foxhole Stats. There are currently about 425 Wardens dying per hour and 300 Colonials dying per hour in that region. which is
I can't
most.
confirm that yet.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I think before it was around the 600 to 800 mark actually, but right now it's the second most active front next to the Lin of Mercy, which has
Stick is getting inside my truck. I'm gonna kill the
dying per hour
R2.
and 409 Colonials dying per hour. Do we have audio
RT is going to be on the right
other
side.
correspondent playing who is at the same front as you?
Over here. Over
Who wants
here.
to join us? Who wants to join us? Who wants to join the suicide truck?
Yes, sorry, hello. I am not at the Marban Hollow front at the moment. I'm still in Deadlands.
It's a suicide truck. It's a one-way
Again, there's still some technical difficulties with the radios here, so you'll have to give me yet another moment.
That's quite alright.
Good luck, boys.
Waiting for one more guy.
In that case, do you have any more updates, Alaric, or if not, then we can hop on over to Robert Spark, who has an interview lined up.
That is mostly it. Warden Transport is currently going to do a rush, and I will report to you what happened.
Just right on the front. Are they mad?
Yes, they are, in my opinion, mad, but at least brave.
That is true. Can you tell us who's in the truck and who are the mad wardens that are doing this action?
It's a hodgepodge group of people. Some of them are from a Hart clan, as I can see, and 11 ERC. The person who's driving is literally called an average drunk Russian. He is a corporal.
Oh.
Nope, never mind, a colonel. Oh god.
Colonel. Oh.
Yes.
Do you have any visuals of them? Are they still alive? 5 seconds in.
They just got out. All I see are tracers. I see bodies.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Several
that is an
vehicles have
RPG.
exploded.
I think the truck has exploded now.
Yes.
Well, rest in peace with them.
I'm almost getting hit by artillery.
If you can get any contact with it, that would be nice. But right now we'll be moving back to the Deadlands with Warden correspondent Robert Spark. Spark, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me see if I can patch your camera in.
Radio, we are
really
on, boys, we're
thought
almost
about
live.
You're live now,
That's freaking epic.
Alright, copy that. I am here at Tempest Island, fighting in between the Rush and the Iris. The Warden forces, over the course of the last night, have been pushed to the Northern Crossroad, and the Colonials have put up a fierce fight. I am sitting here in a trench with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Lasagna, Officer Cadet Ricky Bobby #1, and whatever. Alright, Tony, what would you say, Tony, how has the recent push affected morale as far as you're concerned? Because the Wardens has been on the doorstep of the town hall at the Iris, and now we've been pushed back to the crossroad, far north of there. So what would you say the effect of morale is?
The effect on morale, it's hard to estimate, but I'm looking out there, I'm seeing the people, they're all having a good time, I haven't seen anybody, being in a gabagool or anything. So, I wouldn't say it has affected it too much, with regards to the land, I mean, we lost a little bit, but we took some again, it's like the elevator business, it goes up and it goes down, come on.
Copy that. What if, Radio, do you have any, do you have anyone at home that you're fighting for? As a,
Hey, this one goes out to my ma. Well, tell you what, Ricky, when's the last time you called your ma?
Tony, I told you, I swear, I called her yesterday.
Hey, listen, call your ma, Ricky, and to everybody listening, call your ma. Don't do it for yourself, do it for me, will ya?
You heard it here first, folks. Call your mother on behalf of Mr. Lasagna, Lieutenant Colonel. So far, as a brief update
are
for
you
the fighting...
alright? I can see in your camera there are artillery falling a few meters away.
For me right now, it's been
hold
kind
on,
of...
we have a update. There is a Colonial prototype H5 hatchet that has pushed north of the bridge. It is now disabled. Warden infantry, of course, will be trying to destroy it outright, since it is immobile right now.
You go give him help.
Fighting.
Hey, go give him help, whatever.
Where is the head?
Yes, it seems that Warden
just go straight.
is managing to, I'm going to go
Warden
get
infantry,
a closer look.
Picking off the infantry trying to repair the tank.
Hey, come on, Ricky.
Yes, all the Colonial infantry surrounding the tank is being destroyed. There have been mortar strikes on the tank. Oh, there is currently rocket artillery striking to the east.
Might want to take cover.
Sad to see it.
Yes, I'm going to find some cover before I report on the tank situation. Radio, I found some cover in a trench. The tank is still disabled, but there have been Colonial engineers behind the tank.
Let's do what we gotta do.
Both sides of us.
You know, I was born to...
There is definitely...
We did not blow up the tank. Alright, got it.
Right. It seems that, Tony Lasagna has pushed up and is wiping out the infantry surrounding the tank.
Oh my god, he's not retreating to 8 here.
Tony, bless you.
Look at this dumbass.
Lasagna has...
Wonderful bastard.
This dumbass didn't retreat, even though he was under fire by like 3 AT rifles. That was hilarious.
Time to get a, Alright. So what has happened over the past few seconds of chaos? Alright, Mr. Tony Lasagna, who we had the honor of just interviewing, rushed up with a rifle and started eliminating the Colonials repairing the tank. And as he did that, a Warden fired a Bonesaw Mark III and destroyed the tank outright. Unfortunately, our brave Tony died as part of his push. He was critically wounded, I should say. I am unsure if he was able to recover.
I've got a bazooka on me.
But currently, of course, Wardens have... This recent action has allowed the Wardens to push much closer to the bridge. ISG tankette, of course, is holding on the bridge, and behind that, a mortar half-trap. Sorry, could you repeat?
Is there any armor on the Warden side?
I don't think you can say
There is currently no armor on the Warden side, but the infantry anti-tank armament seems to be doing its job. After all, the H5 hatchet was destroyed.
Are they trying to get into the trench? Shit.
How about on the Warden infantry side? Do you see any
bone saw over here, fellas.
or heavy machine guns?
Yes, we've got lots of rifles, lots of Malone Mark II,
Right in the corner here, there's a
lots of
bone saw.
anti-tank rifles as well, thanks to the increase in Colonial armor.
Yeah, well, there was one shot, I think.
Seems to be a lot of
would it be considered a waste to use the color on that MG?
So,
I can see that, Is there any sort of pushing across the bridge, or are the Colonials still holding the bridge itself?
Colonials are still holding the bridge. There is an ISG tankette on the northern end, which is where the Wardens are coming from. And they have a variety of gassed machine guns also positioned on the bridge. They seem to be very intent on holding this position at all costs. But I must note that in the time in between the it is now 8:46 hours in Tempest Island.
Hey Tony, where you at?
Since the early morning, the Wardens have pushed considerably closer to the bridge and are managing to take position in a variety of trenches. It seems that most of the infantry is on the western side of the road, and the Colonials are a little further forward on the eastern French network.
Okay.
Of course.
Have you ever been able to get in touch back with Tony? Is he gone?
Hey, maybe you take that corner, you get a little bit more range there.
So far, I fear the worst for our poor Tony, but still holding out hope that he managed to find some help. If I do come across him again, I'll definitely let him know that his heroic actions were broadcast live on the PressCorps. You heard it here first, folks.
There you go. Okay, now we'll be moving back to the Marban front, or the Deadlands front, depending on who's up. Alaric, Blake, are either of you up?
Hello, Poe. Yes, we've got everything working here in Deadlands now.
Alright. Do you have your camera up?
Yes, I do. Hold on a second. There we go.
Alright.
Here, hold up. Officer Cadet Oren. If you'll, join me just over here really quick. Alright, so right now you're live. You're broadcasting to the PressCorps. Just a real quick sort of thought. Do you have any messages you want to say home? Thoughts? Anyone you're fighting for you'd like to speak up for?
I believe Callahan should be the focus of the entire war effort. The holy city must be retaken at any cost. The cost of any individual's life will never amount to the true cost of Callahan.
Certainly, and the Deadlands here, it's very costly. This front line is, I've seen reports of taking over, I hear over like hundreds of deaths per hour.
Certainly. During the initial invasion stage, our bunker base was under constant bombardment from enemy artillery, but due to the fact that the artillery cannot actually kill the bunker base, it only killed about 300 of our men in the course of less than 20 minutes.
I see. Do you think that this front is exactly achieving or advancing anything towards perhaps that goal of the Holy City, Sunhaven, down there in Abandoned Ward?
Seeing as in the past 2 days we've retaken Crumbling Post and Overlook Hill, I believe our momentum will carry forth into the Gate and Iron's End.
All right, that is very hopeful of you. As I mentioned earlier, the weather conditions, do you have any sort of words that you sort of want to bring up particularly? I know, again, you mentioned that certainly the Colonials are not made for it, and that this sort of snow is allowing for us to push back and retake these lands we haven't been able to take as of yet, until now, of course. Do you have any more thoughts on the weather?
I believe more of an emphasis should be put into logistics regarding snow uniforms. Keeping our men well supplied and warm is not only essential to the morale and effectiveness of our soldiers, but to the war effort as a whole.
Indeed. I myself have been on this front line, and let me tell you, the cold is not the same if you ain't bundled up with a bunch of layers. I'll ask again, just because we're alive now, one last question. Your thoughts, again, on the new experimental light tanks, the Hatchet 5s that the Colonials appear to be rolling out. What are your thoughts on it again?
As a member of the armed forces, primarily focusing on the infantry-based aspects of the war effort, all tanks die the same. They might look different, act different, but in the end, tanks are tanks. You hit them with flasks, stickies, and bone saws, they all die the same. Colonial drivers have been very incompetent in overextending along our trench line, allowing us to quickly disable and remove them as a threat.
Is that done?
I see. Thank you very much for your time and the questions. I'm very sorry. I totally could ask you more of these questions, but it appears that there's a movement going on over there by the road where a lot of the armor that we're bringing up is getting attacked. So I'll let you get to whatever you're doing best, whether that be infantry or anti-tank or whatnot, and we'll get right back to it. Thank you for your time and, of course, your service. I wish you a good day.
No problem, Blake.
Wonderful
interview. Another interview.
Right now,
always in the area.
back in Marban's Hollow, we have an interview lined up with
Thank you for keeping
reporter
the
Alaric
civilians
Webb.
of our nation.
He has an interviewee up in the Marban Hollow region. Alaric, do you have your camera up?
Yes, I'm getting it up currently. Just give me one moment. There we go.
It's quite all right.
I'm here with Dr. Quark, Major Dr. Quark. Quark, what's your opinion about the war today?
Oh, today this war seems more lively than I expected, actually. So it's going not bad, engaging, quite engaging. I expected this alpha to be more deserted out of Wardens because I'm returning from Charlie, but it's above expectation.
Right. I've seen you giving medical aid, and you've given medical aid to me personally. How many bodies or how many casualties has there been so far here at Marban Hollow?
Oh, I would say at least hundreds so far. Of course, I didn't tend to all of them since we are getting shelled for a few hours right now, so the number's going steadily up.
Alright, anything to say back to the people back home at Siva?
Well, we are fighting here for Glory and Callahan, and we are still holding the onslaught of Collies here, so every able-bodied individual should enlist and go fight and die for Callahan.
You heard it there, folks. Enlist today. One last question. How many... Actually, never mind my question. Those are all my questions I have, personally. Do you have any questions for me?
Of course. How long are you doing press cover of this front?
As long as there is news to be giving, I'm gonna be here.
How Colonial reacts to presence of a press literally on the front line, since I have seen you literally be shot by machine guns all the time?
Just a lot of people start shooting at me, either friendly or collies. It's usually by mistake. However, I try to stay behind friendly lines. Either way, I want to personally thank you, Doctor. I feel like that's all the time we have for this interview. Thank you for that interview. And one last time, this is Dr. Quark, Major in the Warden Army.
The interviewer has been interviewed himself. Alright, so right now we'll be hopping over to another reporter, Lucas Parker. Lucas Parker over at the Tempest region. If we have...
Hello, am I coming through?
Hello, Lucas. Let me patch you in with your camera. Give me a bit. You are live. Yes, you are live now.
Alright, I was here earlier. I was in Osterwall. I've since been transferred down to Tempest Island, same area where Robert is. What I'm looking at here, the artillery barrage, as I'm sure you can hear, has not stopped. The town hall did get rebuilt, but the second it did get rebuilt, it was very quickly brought back under fire. It does seem that the Colonials have lost maybe one of their rocket trucks. Wardens did come through and do some kind of flanking maneuver. They were in the Colonials' back lines, almost captured a rocket truck, but did not quite get away with it. As the artillery continues to rain down. I do know that on the front line, and maybe Robert can confirm this, there should be at least one 30mm tankette, and that mortar half-track that we've been seeing here all night.
Yes,
front line is a bit... Yep, front line is opening up quite a bit as far as infantry is concerned, from what I can tell. It does seem that it's starting to get a bit more loose, as maybe the manpower is starting to get stretched a little thin here. Some mortar shells firing on Colonial positions by Wardens. So we move up in here. It does seem the Colonials have actually set up a small defensive position on the Warden side of the bridge. They're making their way down.
Advancing again.
Yeah, yes.
See, you're looking at, on your camera. You're looking at the trenches where Robert Spark on the Warden, the Warden reporter Robert Spark has been. I think that's him actually running over there. If you have a visual on him.
Oh,
nope, I am currently at the
shrapnel mortars and 30mm opening up on that trench. It seems to be the Warden's last stronghold here. Colonials have recaptured, or at least I assume recaptured. I don't know who had originally built that section of trenches. It's 3 trench pits with some trench wiggles coming off of it. It's on the opposite side of the road, so fighting is actually kind of diagonal right now as Colonials hold that trench on the left side of the road, fighting northeast into the trench that was mentioned earlier that my fellow reporter may have been in. There's another garrison house immediately to the northwest, basically 90 degrees off to the right of those trenches that the Colonials are currently holding, and it is currently occupied by Wardens. Again, this garrison house is partially collapsed. It's not any kind of active AI, it is just cover. From what I can tell, the Wardens do have some pillboxes and a fort operating base up, but not much more than that as far as defenses are concerned.
Okay. I do have to say though, my shift is over, so you're going to have to hop in as the anchor now. So sorry about that, but yes, you can continue on reporting at that front with Robert, Alaric at the Marban Hollow region, and Blake at the Deadlands.
We've just got an entire busload of Wardens that have just been brought into the front line. They've poured into that trench. As that bus turns around and starts making its way out.
If you want, I can confirm the Wardens have been relying on a bus transit system to make their way to the front for quite a while now. That, of course,
It does
is now
seem that forward operating base that I can see is not the base that they are currently operating out of. Is that correct?
Well, I don't want to break operational security, but
I would say it's safe to say if they are bussing in troops that it is not that particular fob. As it is immediately on the front line. I'm not sure where they're coming from. One would assume maybe the rush, or maybe a more defended bunker base around it. Of course, on the Colonial side, I only have Colonial intel, but Warden's firing machine guns from that trench now, opening up. It's multiple machine guns that are being exchanged here back and forth. Seems like there's 2 Colonials with gas, exchanging fire with them. There's a Malone opening up as well.
Wardens appear to be digging trenches on the eastern side of the road to try and advance, to expand their trench network, and of course provide.
So they might be trying to reconnect to those partially collapsed octagons up there as well.
Yes, although
so the Wardens almost retook that set of octagons on the western side of the road there.
Yes,
those are getting pushed out of it.
There are grenades flying and infantry charging into those trenches right now. Yes, it seems that there's fierce hand-to-hand melee ongoing in the tri-octagon pits.
Machine gun fire exchange from both sides, maybe 2-3 machine guns per side, right across this road. He really opens up here every once in a while, I'm sure you can hear it.
Rightio. I am now here with the Warden infantry. I will follow them as they advance, of course.
I will say the Colonials around here do seem to be fairly quiet. They've got their heads down and are just focusing on keeping things alive.
A prototype H5 hatchet has just crossed the bridge and is advancing rapidly towards Warden positions. Of course,
I'm not sure if the Wardens have any anti-tank rifles. I know there was one that a Colonial was using that was captured in that set of 3 octagons. I don't know if he got out with it, though. This Colonial light tank is now opening fire on those trenches.
Yeah. Now the H5 is holding back on the northern bridgehead, as it appears that Warden armament on their infantry appears to be strong. Alright, I can now
confirm there's at least 1 anti-tank rifle in that trench line. And I have seen at least 1 Cutler as well.
I can confirm that Wardens have retaken the tri-octagon area and have now started to fire on Colonials from this fighting position. There are no Colonials in this position. Wardens, of course, are pushing up as far as they can to try and dislodge the Colonials from their entrenched position on the bridgehead. And, of course, the trench network surrounding it.
I'll be honest, I came up here with...
How does that sound to you, Lucas? Does that sound about accurate? My report...
Now, from what I can tell where I am here, Colonials have let off and have backed up to the bridge where they're holding right now on the parapets.
Yes,
Warden's completely retaking pretty much all of the earthworks here on their side of the bridge. There's large numbers of Wardens in pretty much every single one of these trenches that I can see. Colonials holding steady with that light tank and their infantry right at the foot of the bridge. Maybe not the foot of the bridge, but the top of it where it starts to go down.
Yes, as every soldier should know their bridge anatomy by now, they should have a fairly good picture of where exactly the Colonials are holding. Of important note is that by the foot of the bridge there are 2 Colonial machine gun pillboxes. One is currently being suppressed by Warden machine gun fire, and it seems that if there's to be any progress, these pillboxes have to be eliminated.
Another pillbox has been hit by a Cutler shell, it seems. Same Warden infantry's lining up for a second shot. There goes that pillbox.
Yep, it appears that there were...
The Colonial light tank is backed off a little bit. I'm not sure where exactly it went, but it's not at the foot of the... It's not on the Warden side of the bridge anymore. As grenades are being thrown into the trench that Cutler was firing from. MG pillbox on the Warden side of the bridge on the west is still being suppressed. There's still only 1 more pillbox on the northeastern side of the bridge. That one is not suppressed yet.
Yes, the western pillbox is currently being suppressed. that is the side where the Cutler was firing from earlier, of course, so it seems like there is quite a coordinated effort to eliminate defenses from the western flank. However,
of course, they don't necessarily need to suppress that pillbox anymore, because the earthworks that they have captured do flank around to the side of it.
Yes, of course, but of important note is that on the parapet of the bridge itself...
Wardens are crossing the river, fording the river on foot right now, near this...
Yes,
looks like an abandoned watermill.
I'm going to get
actually
closer
made their way across. Colonial light tank engaging.
I'm going there now to link up with those forces and provide a better picture of what's going on.
Warden seem to have captured a trench on the Colonial side of the river. Exchanging fire, it seems the Wardens are using that trench to great effect and still have the upper hand here. As that Colonial light tank moves in, it's now all the way across to the Colonial side of the Warden side of the bridge. I can no longer see it. It is diving deep.
Oh, it appears that I have come under heavy fire. I might be able to retreat successfully.
My tank's retreating again. Seems like it went way off to the northeast there. It's backing back up to the bridge, but not onto the bridge. It's actually onto the side of the bridge. Firing again into craters. Still several craters left over here from the artillery barrages from the past few days. Again, for those of you just joining us, this is Lucas Parker, my bad, and Robert Spark reporting live from in between the Iris and the Rush in Tempest Island.
I'm currently receiving medical attention from my injuries, but...
It does seem that a Challenger approaches. A prototype Warden light tank has showed up to the front line.
Yes, a DeWitt Mark III prototype, crewed by the KRGG.
Does anyone know if there's a button to switch ammunition types?
They are holding just north of the bridge, and of course...
Colonial light tank rushing down the bridge to engage. Ricochet. Warden light tank about to return fire. Another shot from the Warden light tank, also ricocheted. Neither tank's received any damage. Warden light tank now moving back up. Seems like it's hesitating a little bit.
Retreating and is holding on the southern end of the bridge.
Warden light tank's putting on the pressure on that hatchet.
Okay, it appears that both sides are too heavily encroached by infantry in order to make any decent progress without...
It does seem they don't really feel comfortable making those maneuvers at the moment.
Yes,
you can clearly see both of them right now, kind of just staring each other down, one on the bridge, one off.
Certainly an interesting development we have here, Parker. A true tank-on-tank fight.
I don't think I've seen yet so far, with the tanks being mostly just prototypes.
Yes, it seems that both sides are still heavily employing prototypes for their light tanks. I have yet to
Warden
see
light tank taking anti-tank rifle fire. Seems like it has dealt with that threat pretty swiftly, but it did still take a hit. While we're waiting to see how this front develops, let's cede here real quick to a couple of our other reporters in the field. I know we have Alaric and Blake out here in other areas of the region.
Lucas, be sure to disconnect your camera from the audio feed before you swap over to it.
Just watching as these tanks shuffle back and forth. It seems like both of them are pulling out for now. So let's back out for a moment and check in real quick on Blake. See what's going on where he is.
Hello, Joe.
Blake, let's see what you've got for us.
Streaming here from these trenches that the Warden forces have been fighting over from the Colonials. Not much ground has changed, though every once in a while, Warden forces and Colonial forces are exchanging over these infamous sort of no man owns them trenches. They're more, if I would dare say, journeyed towards the Colonial forces in the sense that they could just roll in them and then just roll down the hill. Oh, it appears that there's some sort of truck just diving right into the Colonial lines.
It does seem like Colonials might have some kind of vehicle there. Can you confirm as to what that vehicle is?
Correct. That vehicle is a anti-tank armored car. It looks to be a little weathered for wear. It's quite possible that they are just looking around. I don't really see them. Oh, they're making a dive down the road to give support for what I think are their forces there in the trenches. Look, I am still being suppressed and shot at as I move down the road here. And while all the front is all the rage with armored vehicles and enemy forces, we're being actively shelled behind us, so it is certainly hampering the front line's ability to operate in the sense that not many people are able to organize and get out from the border base here.
Well, it does seem that it is. The snow is definitely hindering their break-in to that region, it seems. Despite the Warden advantage into the snow, it does seem that maybe snow is just a bit too powerful of a force there and stagnates the front line maybe a little too hard.
I would certainly agree. Just a little while earlier, we had Officer Cadet Oren, who certainly gave his thoughts and opinions on the snow, certainly being a godsend, allowing us to push forward and retake land that just a while ago was certainly Colonial held. But in another case, since the Colonials are so well entrenched on Callahan's Gate, perhaps the snow has allowed them to sort of remain and freeze still and sort of dig in their heels in order to stop this Warden advance that has retaken quite a few towns at this point.
It is definitely quite interesting to see. Break-ins are usually one of those things that are unique almost every single time you witness one. They do have their general trends where you see maybe sometimes a break-in that never really gets supplied and not much movement is gained. There are sometimes break-ins where there's very, very heavy armor presence and it's a very, very rapid roll into the enemy territory, but you never know what you're going to get with a break-in. But I'm going to toss this over to my partner here, Robert, and relocate myself here real quick. In the meantime, let's go over to Alaric and see how things are going there.
Alright, this is Alaric.
Hello, this is Robert Spark. Alright, Alaric, what's the situation on your front?
The Colonials have made a major push just now. The bunker base where I was stationed at just got destroyed. So I've moved back to the Relic base with a couple of others.
Copy that. This is in Marban Hollow, correct?
Yes.
Right. If my information is correct, that area is currently under a snowstorm. Is this correct?
Yes, a lot of vehicles are frozen up here.
Yes. How has that affected the fighting?
It's affected it greatly. A lot of our vehicles keep on getting stuck here, and we aren't able to move them. Which means the infantry up front do not get supported, and thus we just lost the bunker base because all of our tanks are frozen.
Radio. What side are you reporting from again?
Warden side.
Wardens, okay, yes. So it seems that the Colonials have been able to make some progress by destroying the bunker base and pushing up to it. Is this correct?
Yes, as a confirm.
Radio. I can definitely see from the map that there is, of course, quite a lot of action going on. Wardens have a lot of progress to make if they're to take the region. And but has there been any reports of any vehicles in the region?
On Colonial side or Warden side, may I ask?
Either side. What armored vehicles have been brought up to the fighting?
We do have 2 mobile rocket launchers that are currently being loaded up as we speak. I'm watching the 30 IRD fill them all up currently.
Alright. Are these the Colonial rocket truck variants, or are they captured
Warden? Captured Warden equipment. There's 3 trucks actually. 3 rocket trucks that are all loaded. They're driving out currently. Yes.
Yes, so it seems that the Wardens are quite heavily equipped with rocket weaponry. So, hopefully, do you suspect that this influx of rocket weaponry will make a difference in the fighting?
I believe so, but not as much to recapture the lost bunker base. I feel like that is going to take a lot more effort, a lot more logistical trucks.
Copy that. So your thoughts are that there isn't enough logistical sustainability in order to keep up the rocket barrages that could possibly ensue.
Yes, I believe this is more of just a revenge mission, considering the fact all of the Colonials have pushed up to that now and destroyed Bunker Base, and they're probably making more pillboxes as we speak.
Copy that. Now, some viewers of ours may not be familiar with how vehicles freeze. Are you able to elaborate on that?
Yes, during snowstorms here north of Siva, a lot of our vehicles can freeze over during storms, so we have to either put a fire next to it or, in extreme cases, use a flamethrower to just heat up the engine and try to get our vehicles to work again.
Copy that. Alright, so, I've got an interview lined up here, but that can wait. Do you have any final words before I swap over back to the action at Tempest Island?
Stay warm and stay healthy, I guess.
Righty. That was from the PressCorps, reporting from Marban Hollow. I now am live from Tempest Island. Alright, I just need to set up my camera. Alright. Hopefully you can now hear what is going on around me. Rightio. I am sitting here in a bus with 27th member Padre de la Plaga. Plaga, are you ready to provide some testimony for the listeners back home? Rightio, so, how long have you been operating this bus service for? Because, you've been ferrying troops to the front. You've been ferrying troops to the front now for quite a while. Since 8 AM. Right, so that would be... thank you to the random person complimenting my voice, but, how successful has your bus been? Good to hear. Excellent. So, anyone else on the bus here have any compliments or detriments for the bus service, as you are now being broadcasted on the PressCorps?
Where your standing orders are to try and stay standing. This is the weekend pass. Party jam.
So it seems like there is a lack of music as the main criticism from patrons of your bus service. Padre de la Plaga, of the Warrant Officer 2nd Class of the 27th. Is there anything prohibiting you from employing music on your service? From, up costs? Copy that. Are you free to continue the interview as you go through that process?
Let's be honest. You're not taking a shower anymore.
I will make my way to the front now. I'm going to radio. It appears that so far the fighting, of course, in Tempest Island has been a little back and forth. It appears that the Colonials, of course, are making some progress, but of course, with the arrival of the prototype Warden DeWitt Mark III to contest the Colonial prototype Hatchet H5, there has been a little bit of stagnation. Wardens, of course, are still fighting over the trenches on the northern side of the bridge, in between the Iris and the Rush. Radio. Oh, alright. Tony Lasagna, I am now live with the PressCorps if you wanted to provide a few words again. Radio, so, this happened a few days ago in the war now.
Robert,
but,
I'm going to stop you here. It does seem we might be having a repeat of the technical issue we had earlier. I don't know if you... I slipped you a note. You didn't pay attention to it, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it does seem we might have small technical issue with it. You can still do your interview. Just make sure you repeat what he says. I know we had this before. It's not ideal, but it does work.
Copy that. I'm now moving back to grab my interview. If you could fill for me while I do that.
Yes, for those of you who just might be joining us, we are currently reporting live, me and Robert, from the conflict in between the Iris and the Rush in Tempest Island. Conflict here has been pretty heated. There's a lot of opportunity for flanking maneuvers and general interesting tactics that you don't usually see because the river that both factions are currently trying to cross over at the moment is a shallow river, which means that tanks and infantry can get through it without sinking to the briny deep. As far as the rest of the front line is concerned, across the entirety of the regions, Endless Store is still fairly stagnant with some light skirmishing going on between, Saltbrook Channel and Vulpine Watch over that bridge. Fighting still pretty heated to the north of Osterwall, in between Osterwall and Mox. It does seem the Colonials have regained a little bit of the territory that they had lost earlier. We had a reporter coming in as well that said that they had reclaimed a bunker base. Unsure of where that is exactly, but we do know that they are making some forward progress. As far as Deadlands is concerned, and the border crossing right now at Callahan's Passage, from our reporters, we do know that there is some fighting happening outside of Callahan's Gate, and one could assume that the exact same thing could be said in between Iron's End and Crumbling Passage, though with the lack of intel, we have no idea where that fighting might actually be taking place at the moment. In Lynn of Mercy, Colonials have put some more pressure on and have actually recaptured, or maybe captured for the first time, a bunker outside of Rot Dust, forcing the Wardens back maybe a good 100, 200 meters there. Slow, steady crawl.
Lucas, let me know when you're ready for me to interview.
Will do.
I will have to repeat, of course.
In Stone Cradle, the fighting seems to have died down a fair bit. The Long Fast is still white. Infantry skirmishing dying down from probably one of the largest fights I've seen to...
Hold on. I've got developing news at Tempest Island. The Colonial H5 hatchet has just pushed very forward, and it has been tracked and disabled. Warden
I'm poking my head out of my pillbox here. I see exactly what you're talking about. Does seem that it is both tracked and disabled. Very deep in the engagement.
It has just been destroyed. I can only presume by Warden anti-armor infantry.
Yep, I can confirm what I saw there. The Warden light tank was diving rapidly from across the field to engage and secure that kill. Does also seem that there is now a Warden scout tank in play.
Yes,
not a 30mm scout tank, but a machine gun scout tank as well.
Yes,
that'll be very critical for them because it provides map intel to the rest of the team.
Filthy McNasty.
I believe you said you had an interview for us?
Yes. I'm here with Tony Lasagna here. Let's just take a step back here, Tony, away from the intensities of the action. Now, I believe I have a similar audio issue to what I was having earlier, so I will have to repeat what you say, Mr. Lasagna. I hope that's alright. He's a little disgruntled at that. I'm going to have to be very precise with his words, he said. Right here, Mr. Lasagna. Thank you for your cooperation in the midst of the technical issue. Now, for those who have just joined us, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Lasagna here has been a very valiant fighter on this front for quite a few days in the war now. You may have heard him last on this press corps as I reported his actions as he assisted in the destruction of a prototype H5 hatchet by rushing the engineers repairing it and gunning them down. As Warden anti-armor infantry managed to deal the final blow. Mr. Lasagna, many people over the air were very distressed to hear of your valiant heroic sacrifice. How can you help reassure them now that you're perfectly fine, that you'll live to fight another day? Well, Robert, he says. Long story short, when he died, you may have thought he died, but never really died. They kidnapped him. He managed to flee back to this beautiful woman named Napoleon. Unfortunately, they blew her up in a car, so he had to move back to the front. He's continued to participate in the war. He definitely misses Apollonia, but forget
I think that's one of the most tragic stories I've heard.
One of the most stories he has ever heard, Mr. Lasagna, and one to I hope no viewers of the two up right next to us and is.
Well, you seem to be having a little bit of a connection issue. I don't know if there's some kind of signal jamming going on or what. It's a little difficult to hear you coming through, but we did hear that heart-wrenching story from the interview.
Yes, I might have now due to my radio connection. I go, Mr. Lasagna, for the people rooting for you back home. Yes, okay, so do you have any interesting development. A Colonial soldier has just stickied the bus that
I do see that the bus is disabled behind that Warden trench.
Mr. Plaga, driver of the bus, do you have any words on the recent... A second sticky has just landed on the bus. It has been destroyed. No.
Sure, we all know buses aren't particularly durable. Warden Armor did seem to be a little preoccupied with repairing, and I don't know what was going on with the Warden infantry there to let that get through. Because it does seem, like you described it, that there were multiple infantrymen required to take that bus down.
Yes, there has been much...
Colonial tank engaging the 40mm light tank prototype, gets a penetrating hit on the light tank. The tankette is no worse for wear. Both of the hits from the 40mm ricocheted. Tankette engaging infantry now on reload. Hits from white ash flasks. Another one. Another one. Tankette is now tracked at the bottom of the bridge and is disabled. Warden light tank is repairing. I don't know if the Colonials will be able to recover this thing.
While we're waiting for the armored situation to develop, it appears that the infantry who were trying to defend the bus, they took a large morale hit from the failure of the bus. I have just now witnessed the execution of a Colonial soldier they captured, believed to be part of the bus attack. It appears that no quarter is given for the loss of their beloved bus service. Back to you,
I really wouldn't blame them. From what I can tell of their front line, and keep in mind, from the other side of the conflict, I do have fairly limited visibility, but it does seem that that bus was a very, very potent lifeline for them. It'd be interesting to see how the front line develops with that bus no longer in play.
Yes, from my interview, it seems that the...
Colonial half-track mounted with a 30mm is moved up to try and cover the tankette that is stranded at the base of the bridge. That tankette is still repairing. Several Warden infantrymen now fighting in between the trenches. Colonial infantry as well. A flare has been fired over the Warden trench. The Colonials are using to their advantage to recapture it. Repairing continues on that tankette as the half-track makes moves to suppress that infantry that's trying to get close to it. It's firing several times. That's second or third time. It does seem this is a coordinated group here. 7 HP in this half-track. Now sitting a little ways off to try and give that tankette as much cover as they can. It does seem like a ranging shot from a rocket just went over my head. I saw a brief shadow. Repairs on the tankette have stopped. They've started again. I don't know if they're running out of BMATs and struggling to keep it repaired, or if they've just finished repairing it. No, repairs have started in full, in earnest now. Colonial infantry making a valiant push into those trenches to try and keep the Wardens back just long enough to recover that tankette. I hear the sounds of maybe more artillery firing. Sounds like a rocket artillery. Infantry pillboxes opening up slightly on Colonial infantry, putting pressure on those trenches. Tankette has started to move as a rocket barrage now lands on the Warden infantry lines. These are Colonial heavy rockets. They are HE rockets. Tankette is now fully repaired and is moving again, now putting pressure on with both the Tankette and that 30mm half-track in play. I do not see that Warden light tank or Warden scout tank involved anymore. I do not know where they went. But I think with that, as we're now coming up on the top of the hour, we will call it for the night. Oh, hold on just a moment. That Warden light tank has rolled down the road and is now within engagement distance of these two vehicles.
I'm here with the tank. Yes, it appears to be pushing up.
Fire on the half-track. It did not sound like it made a solid connection. Half-track fires and ricochets. 30mm tankette getting in engagement range. Keep in mind that 30mm tankette does get outranged. Something else is fired from the fog. Colonials might have a field gun in play here. Large concentrated effort to take down that light tank, ricochet after ricochet on pretty much everything that light tank is shooting at. It's trapped in front of a garrison house and cannot back up. Ricochet again on that 30mm tankette. Penetration on the light tank from, I can only assume that's a field gun. Another hit that looked like maybe AT. Its turret's knocked out and it's disabled. Tremola's landing next to it as well.
The infantry
That's absolutely a field gun wailing on it from the darkness.
And
there goes the light tank.
Destroyed.
Yep.
What a piece of action to end it on, Parker. What do you say?
I could not agree more. That was one hell of an engagement from the Colonials. Did not know they had a field gun in play until it was in the most critical moment. Everything I've seen, that's absolutely how you use a field gun. You do not want them to know it's there until it's too late. But I do agree that is an excellent piece of action there to end it on. It does seem the Colonials have a major upper hand here now with the Wardens losing their primary armored vehicle and their bus. But reinforcements could be just around the corner and we don't know.
The PressCorps is a non-profit creative collective of artists, reporters, and players from the MMO video game Foxhole by Siege Camp. Our mission is to engross our audience in and amplify the stories of this unique war ecosystem. The PressCorps was founded in early 2018 by former Planetside 2 Radio Free Auraxis host CaptainInArms. It is a separate community entity and is in no way representative of Siege Camp. For more information, visit the PressCorps Discord through the link below.